So this set me off on another challenge. I was fascinated. So what on earth does leadership mean? There are so many books out there and there are so many speakers out there and this is what I do for a living. So I thought to myself, I need to try and find out what the hell leadership means. And then I made the mistake of pumping it into Google. What does leadership mean? 1,950,000,000 responses. That is deeply unhelpful. So that wasn't going to cut it for me. I needed to go somewhere else. And I was meeting so many people. With the research for the book and the podcast and the work that we do daily, I was meeting incredible people. And the answer that resonated with me came from, I think, a strange place. It came from this man, John Amici. Psychologist back in the UK. He describes himself as a fat kid from Stockport who just happened to end up playing basketball for the NBA. And I interviewed him 3 times, once for the book, twice on the podcast. He's an extraordinary individual because in 2007, he was the first NBA player ever to come out as openly gay. That took some courage in 2007. So we met a couple of times and this looks like my holiday snapped out, doesn't it? He's 6'9". He is indeed a giant of a man, as you would expect. And I said to John, John, I'm trying to find out what does leadership mean? And he gave me an answer. I went, that's the one for me. He said, Adam, leadership is your promise of a lived experience for those around you. And I went, that's it. Leadership is your promise of a lived experience for those around you. Now, you might be the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar business. You might be an individual contributor. You might be the entrepreneur of a small business. This is relevant to you. This is about me showing up to work, and if you are my boss, you provide me with a lived experience. If that lived experience isn't great, what do? I walk. That lived experience is great. I keep coming back day after day after day. And one of the biggest challenges big businesses have is they promise great things, vision, mission, values. They sell the dream. And then they get into the organization, and if they then work for their first boss, and that is not congruent, they walk. And we saw that. Huge numbers during the pandemic. I was talking to young people who were leaving their jobs just during and after the pandemic, and I said, where are you going to? And they said, I don't even have something else. But I'm not staying here. So I'm not saying that is the definition, but I just wanted to share that with you. Your leadership is the promise of a lived experience around you. So this got me even more curious. And then Mark and I went over to Kenya. We were working with KCB, and I sat down with the CEO there, Paul, and we were sat in the beautiful leadership center of Kenya Commercial Bank, and we were chatting about leadership. And he said this.
First, to lead KCB is a privilege. I would imagine how many individuals want to be CEOs of KCB.
Yeah.
But it comes with responsibility.
And then some.
And it does come with unreasonable expectations.
Right.
But every single day I pray that I remain myself and I do not try and change. When I say I do not change, just to look like a CEO.
Right.
But remind myself of the promises I made to build a sustainable organization with people at the core.
I had not engineered that, and there it was. Remind myself every day of the promises I have made in relation to building a sustainable business with people at the core. I was onto something. Leadership is the promise of a lived experience. What started to ident itself now was the rise of leadership superpowers. Everyone I was talking to, every piece of research, all the articles I was writing, something kept floating to the surface as the differentiator. And I thought, I've got to start writing about this. I've got to start looking at this. What is it, you ask? Well, I've run out of time, folks, so I'm kidding. No, it's human-centered leadership. Human-centered leadership is the critical differentiator now, probably has been for a while. But I've broken it down, and I'll share with you. There are 8 components to human-centered leadership. None of that is rocket science, but take a look at some of those. Those are the components that I'm hearing and seeing evidence of again and again and again from leaders all over the world, from all kinds of disciplines, from all kinds of sectors. This keeps coming to the fore. So I wanted to share some examples of this, and I'm going to pick on one first. I'm actually going to pick on care. And one of the people that I was super excited to talk to was this gentleman. This is Ralph De La Vega. Ralph De La Vega was an immigrant child who came into the US and became the vice chairman of AT&T, which is a Fortune 10 company. He told me an extraordinary story.